Almost 4 years ago, I sat down and imagined that if the Alton Towers Resort had unlimited budget and was owned by me, what could I add and remove from the park? Would I build scarily big new roller coasters, remove some of their current scarily bad rides? Would I add shows and entertainment, or just change their 4 PM closing times? Well, today I thought I would come back to this topic because last time I wanted Nemesis to be retracked and Ripsaw to come back. And now my wishes have been granted. Things have changed at the park, and we're going to discuss in the big year of 2026 what I would do if I owned Alton Towers. Be sure to watch till the end so you don't miss anything, and be sure to subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss future videos, because trust me, there's a whole lot more just like this coming very soon. So then, Alton Towers in Staffordshire, England, the biggest and arguably best theme park in England, with 10 different roller coasters, soon to be 11, various rides, attractions, even a water park, and many things in between. But what would I change going forward? I'm going to be using Google Maps off to my left. It's weird because I'm not used to looking this way for a camera, I'm used to looking this way. And everything behind me is all a work in progress, don't worry. And we're going to go through the entirety of the resort, just talking about what we want to change. And first of all, before we even get in the park, the monorail. The transportation all the way 700 miles from the car park to the park entrance. They just need a lot more trains on there, and they need to rip off that really bad vinyl that's wrapped around the whole thing, because as much as I do love the strawberry one and the monorail, I want to be able to see out those windows and see some cool views. So rip that off the windows and move on into the park. We'll come back outside later. As we head down Towers Street, there's quite a few different buildings on Towers Street, and none of them really serve a purpose. So I'd love to see one of these buildings being used as a future museum. Alton Towers has so much history, and I'm sure there's many different plans and loads of stuff. They've literally showcased half of it in the roller coaster restaurant. It would be amazing if they put it on show in a museum, much like Drayton Manor did. But yeah, you'd enter the park like this, and let's just go right first because there's less here. We have CBeebies Land, and as you can see from Google Maps and in real life, it is one big area, and originally I would have said to add an actual roller coaster that's slightly bigger than Octonauts, but not quite Runaway Mine Train size, and they're kind of already doing that. So I don't know, I'd say just give some of the rides in there a little bit of TLC. For instance, if the In the Night Garden boat ride stays, some of that is so creepy because it's so run down. Get a lot of that clean and fresh, or make an entirely new family dark ride. They don't have a shooter dark ride or an interactive dark ride in the park anymore because Curse took that one over. So why not put a smaller version of something, maybe even like Ghostly Manor at Paulton's Park, themed to a CBeebies IP? I think it could work really, really well. And other than that, I think CBeebies Land is doing pretty well as we come over to Spinball Whizzer. Now, I've spoken about this in the past. I think Spinball Whizzer, as much as they've put in a brand new technical system on the ride and stuff, though it probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon, I think it will be removed but replaced in potentially 2 different ways. The first of which is the way that I would rather not happen, but I know a lot of people might want this to happen. An expansion of CBeebies Land. It's a huge space. They could make a bigger roller coaster than Octonauts and the Bluey one and create loads of different attractions in that bit if they did want to. But at the same time, because it's a spinning coaster, and obviously Towers at the minute like keeping round things from the past, I'd love to see Spinball Whizzer reborn. A Mac family spinning coaster in its place, much like Storm Chaser at Paulton's Park. Something like that would work really, really well, I feel. Not only in that area, but for Towers in general. And if you're getting rid of Spinball Whizzer, it's quite a low capacity spinning coaster. Getting a Mac spinner instead would make it a lot better, and the queue would be a lot less, which means more capacity and less people, but more people getting on ride. That's how that works. As we move along to here, you've got this little arcade and stuff. I think that's all right for now. Maybe the golf challenge, up that to £1 million prize. And then we get to our first major area, X Sector, which I know I'm going to say it again. I say it every time I talk about this land. They need more flat rides. Really want to see a Huss breakdance at this park. I think it would be a great thrill flat ride addition, or maybe just another flat ride that would fit into the X Sector theme. So a bit sort of Ministry of Joy, Oblivion-esque, hypnotic black hole flat ride. Get some flat rides in there, or whilst you're at it, remove Oblivion. Whoa, I know that's a controversial opinion, and I wouldn't say to remove it fully. I just think, again, Alton Towers like a bit of nostalgia. If they want to keep Oblivion round in some form, they would have to remove the entire track and replace it with a mini dive version. Very, very popular ride type for the general public, and I feel like Towers could definitely get away with remaking Oblivion with that huge drop just on a mini dive and adding some inversions and stuff afterwards, and maybe even a second drop. I don't know. There's so many options here, along with the option to retrack part of the Smiler. Or give it lap bars, that would be great. But 100% I would retrack the end of that ride, because the final 3 inversions, that's all it feels like. Walking up past the towers now, as you can see, going past the towers and Fountain Square. Fountain Square's over here, you moron. That is actually where we're going. Hex, the Legend of the Towers, that will stay. I am not getting rid of that or touching that. Although I'm sure many people would say, oh, it needs different lighting. Take it back to the old one. It's fine as it is. Shut up. Fountain Square, though, right here, I would put a show venue there. I'd put a nice stage with loads of seating, whether it be covered or uncovered. I just feel like that little corner there has enough space for that seating. They've shown us in the past that they can put some theming and stuff there. I would love to see a show venue in that corner. And there is a cut through on the right of that seating area that I want to build to Cuckoo Cars Driving School and the World of David Williams, because they're 2 separate areas for some reason. And that entire area, the theme right now, I don't think it's going to last, especially with what's been going on with David Williams. But also, whenever you go in that area anyway, there's just no one there. So I would rip out Cuckoo Cars Driving School, and I would also take the theming away from all the rides in that area. And alongside Project Horizon, that's supposed to be going in this back corner here, and the dungeons off to our left, and even the burger kitchen, I guess. Turn this entire corner in the back of the park into a brand new area. Whether you have part of it themed to Alton Bear or some of the nostalgic characters from the Alton Towers previous back in the days, or a completely new theme, I don't know, but there are so many ways that they can make the world of David Williams and that corner of the park so much more popular. Because like I said, no one goes into that area now because it's so out of the way. So if you have this brand new theme and this huge ride in Project Horizon, you could have a Gangster Granny dark ride overlay, a show where the 4D cinema used to be, another huge dark boat ride where the dungeons is, and of course an eatery in the burger kitchen, some small flat rides as well, and the driving school if you want to keep that. There's so much opportunity in that back corner of the park, and I really do think that that is where Towers are going to focus on next. As much as I would love them to focus on the next area, Dark Forest. Because you know what I'm going to say. Keep Rita! Of course I am joking, although I do think Rita is a solid coaster, just not at Alton Towers. Sell that to another park in the world or in the UK, or use it for parts on Stealth at Thorpe Park. Keep 13, although I would make it a little bit longer on the outside, maybe having like an extra launch or just some extra airtime hills or something. And build a brand new Intamin multi-launch, whether it be family or family thrill, in Rita's place with multiple launches, obviously. Just various different elements on that, more airtime based than inversions. Could see this Rita replacement have some sort of vertical spike, or maybe even like, I don't know, a swing launch. I don't know what could replace it, but I know a lot of you do, because a while back I challenged all of you guys to build a Rita replacement and you guys smashed it out the park. So at the end of this video, go and watch that, because there were some amazing creations. But now we are going to take the Sky Ride all the way across the garden. I'm actually going to pass by Forbidden Valley for now. So let's take the Sky Ride this way, and we end up at Mutiny Bay, which I think Mutiny Bay is actually one of the best areas at the park because it feels the most complete. You've got loads of small little flat rides. You've of course got Wicker Man, which I know doesn't really fit in with pirates, but it sort of does, I guess. Should have stuck a massive eye patch on the Wicker Man. And even the aquarium, Sharkbait Reef. Again, you've got a burger kitchen, which I would get rid of. The £10 hot dogs, and even the courtyard where you can go in and have some food, and there's even a bar and stuff, and a show venue in there. I feel like it's pretty complete. Maybe there could be a junior coaster or another flat ride in Mutiny Bay. I don't know, I feel like it's pretty good going, as is Katanga Canyon, where you have Runaway Mine Train, which is a really nice coaster, and the Congo River Rapids, which is a lovely rapids. I would love to turn that rapids up to full blast again, where you do actually get quite soaked. And I'd love to put some theming in the tunnel as you go through, as you see the Runaway Mine Train go past and everyone goes, "What?" We'll leave it alone for now. Although you could lower the price of pizza and pasta. It is not worth the money. The Cursor Alton Manors area, and of course Gloomy Wood. I do think that area is great as well. In an ideal world, I'd build a launch coaster. There was a whole plan ages ago about some launch coaster with like witch brooms that you ride on. And that would be really cool in the sort of woods area next to Haunted Hollow. But at the same time, if we're talking about what I would do, as much as it's another dark ride, I would love to see a Dance Macabre style flat dark ride in the Gloomy Woods, or I guess this could also replace Hex if that just got too old and too expensive. Themed to another myth or legend about the park, and I just would love to see that, and I think it would suit that area quite nicely. But Curse itself is amazing, and I wouldn't really change too much, just add things. And the same could be said for Forbidden Valley. Recently redone in 2023 onwards, of course, when we had Nemesis Subterra open. and then Nemesis Reborn. The area itself is fantastic. The theming is really good. All the effects and everything, I absolutely love it. Nemesis Reborn as well. I ain't changing that, unless for those of you asking, I could make it less rattly. But the only things I would change, of course, is the fact the fountains on Toxicator, get them full power because they never seem to be anymore. Get a new flat ride in the plot for Blade, of course, the old ride that was there and is now not. Get some extra capacity there. The arcade as well, if that ever got ripped out, there is room for an indoor flat ride there as well. And of course, the main thing in Forbidden Valley that I think everyone would change is this thing right here, Galactica. Because as fun of a ride as it is, it just doesn't fit anymore. So again, I've done this in the past. I would change that to Air Command if they wanted to keep the coaster around and obviously refurbish it, repaint it, add theming. But if they wanted to get rid of it, then there are so many options that they could replace it with. And they could even go into this car park here, car parks G and H. I always just called that the roller coaster restaurant car park. But building a brand new roller coaster in that space, or even just adding to this area by building a brand new one in Galactica space and there, would be amazing. And I would love to see that in the park. But obviously, like a lot of you do, I exit out of this roller coaster restaurant exit right here, and I walk along all the way down to where the hotels are. And you don't really realize how much space these hotels take up until you see it from above. But obviously, as you can see, the Alton Towers water park, a really, really good water park, to be fair. Mostly indoors with a nice outdoor area as well, and I just really would love to see them expand that and just build more slides and more space for that water park. So yeah, not that there's the space, but in my unrealistic world, I would expand that. And as much as these hotels are really good, especially like the Enchanted Village and the Alton Towers Hotel itself, I would really love to see them use the space for the old treetop quest that is literally just sat there, not operating. I'd love to see them be able to rip that entire area out and just make an entertainment and retail dining complex with literally 1 or 2 restaurants, a cafe, maybe even just a tiny little shop, a bar, and also some entertainment. I feel like Universal does that really well, considering it's in the middle of nowhere, and if you are at those hotels and the restaurants are shut, you can't eat anywhere. Having a really nice city walk-esque area with those retail and dining and everything, I think would be so, so good. And it would probably make people stay a lot more because you could expand the golf, the water park, like I said, and you could just have people spend 2 to 3 days here rather than 1 or 2. Because on top of that, you've got the entire park to explore on those days as well. Hopefully, I went a little bit more in depth than I did 4 years ago, because I remember that video being like 5 minutes long. And hopefully you guys do agree on some of my points here, although if you don't or do, leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd be interested to see what you guys would do if you owned this place. 1,000 likes and I will do a thought park version. Again, that will have changed a lot since I last did that, so I'd be more than happy to do one again. Subscribe so you don't miss that when that does happen, and see you next time.